You're watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
I'm Janet Richmond, and this is the Higher Self Voice.
Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday. It's T Radio V Day, the Higher Self Voice, and I'm Janet Richmond. And today, I'm excited to have you guys on. In general, what I do is have a myriad of guests on from all walks of life, just to give you the feeling that the higher self information on how to improve our lives in many different ways works for anyone. You don't have to be special. You don't have to have studied for many years or anything. Every single soul comes well equipped to help themselves. We're our own directing identities, and in general, our beingness doesn't end at the skin. In general, our beingness doesn't end at the skin. We carry a tremendous amount of energetic baggage, and I demonstrate the technique in the show each week on how to deal with the energetic baggage. And I want every viewer to follow along. Whatever I do for my guests, I would like you to sit there and do it for yourselves. It can be a powerful healing experience for you, and you can learn the technique just by experiencing it, just by doing it for yourself. In any case, I want to talk to you about my guest today. Her name is Laura Fettig, and I have to read exactly what she has done. She was born and bred, basically, in Michigan. She had a career as an executive director of Healthy Trends radio show and was very involved in many different ways with the health and wellness of the body, mind, and spirit. She also lectured on living cancer-free. She also trained as a minister of spiritual intuitive communication and healing, and also is certified as a DNA theta healer. So she was very involved in the mind, body, spirit world for many, many years. Now, you're probably noticing that I'm using the past tense, and that's because 2.5 years ago, Laura was out walking, and she'll tell you a little bit more about it, but she was hit by a 7-ton bus. She is very fortunately alive and here with us today, but she has an extremely compelling story. But I want to be clear. This show today is not about focusing on all the bad, all the tragic, all the difficulties, being a victim. Laura and I we totally agree, because this story is compelling in a lot of different ways, and it's about hope. It's about bringing awareness, because all of us have had eons of lifetimes as souls. We've been on a very complicated journey, and the fact of the matter is, when we have something happen to us in our life, like being hit by a 7-ton bus, which I really don't wish on anyone, often it's the soul's way of talking to us. And so the viewpoint in this show is really, let's look at this as an opportunity. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Laura Fettig. So Laura, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? What happened exactly that day that you were out walking, and maybe you might want to mention where you were walking at that point.
Sure. Hi, Janet, and thank you so much to have me here on the show.
Oh, you're so welcome. Really, it's so exciting. So go ahead.
Thank you. I was on my way to the Conscious Life Expo, which is kind of funny.
And you were walking, right?
I was a pedestrian walking across the street. There was 4 lanes, and I was one step from the 3rd lane. And the bus was coming straight at me, but I didn't know turn behind me and hit me.
Because it was coming from behind.
Yes, he turned.
Oh, he turned
behind me. Was turning behind me and hit me.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I said my lights were knocked out and I was unconscious. And when I woke up, people were standing all around. I was on my way to a sound healing workshop where I was going to be assisting. Uh, and
Oh my goodness.
I
Okay.
wanted nothing but to get there, but I was stopped. And
So what are some of the consequences when you woke up or when you came to, and what have been some of the results of this accident?
well, it didn't, right away I had pain, of course,
Right.
and I had no balance. I would fall always to the left, just fall. And I had a boyfriend at the time, and he would hold me up, and I would just fall
You were just, yeah.
off balance.
And you'd mentioned something to me about when you were trying to sleep, something happened with your eyes and then your tongue. Explain a little bit about that.
If I close my eyes, I get eye flutter. And so when I was trying to sleep, my eyes flutter.
Fluttered.
Flutter, yes. And if I move my arms very much, because I love to cook, I was moving my arms. At first, when you're injured, people cook for you for a week or two. But after that, I have to do my own. And moving my arms, I would get, my tongue would thrust forward. And
So you move your arm and your tongue would come out.
I would move my arms and my tongue would, I would have a gag reflex innervated, and my tongue would thrust out. So I knew there was something wrong, of course,
Right.
in this area. My tongue, something happening with the nerve systems.
Right.
And then about a month and a half later,
Oh, wait.
Oh, go ahead, yes.
Well, I'm just trying to think, should we put the, yeah, go ahead, tell me. Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
I woke up and I speak like with accent. Out of the blue, I wake up and I'm talking, and my daughter is looking at me and, Mom, quit goofing around.
Just in case you didn't notice, guys, Laura, if you remember, I said earlier she was born and raised in Michigan. She woke up a month and a half after her accident with a foreign accent. So apparently there is a phenomenon called what?
It's called foreign accent syndrome.
Okay. And you were, as of 1940, they've tracked all of them, and you were number what in the world?
According to my research, so it may not be accurate, but I'm number 63
Okay.
documented since the first case in 1940.
Wow. Very cool. Now, for those of you, because I didn't know Laura before either, but for those of you who think, well, that's weird, could that really be true? We have a little piece of video that Laura made. She was trying to get on some TV show of, what is it, the Redo Your Backyard or something?
Right.
And so Laura provided us with that video. It's her speaking. This is just a few months before her accident. So I'm going to ask the guys to play the video.
This is my daughter Erica, and this is my
She's
mom,
on the
Laura.
left.
We've lived here for almost 5 years now, and our backyard is bigger than our house, but we haven't known what to do with it. So come take a look at our yard, and we'll show you what we've got here. We did get a beautiful melaleuca tree with beautiful purple flowers. We put in some little pine trees, and we have a space here maybe for a lap pool or maybe a jacuzzi over here. Erica and her friends hang out here a lot at our house, and I would love to have a nice space for our friends and family to hang out and just have it be some place that we like to come to.
Okay. So you spoke very differently there.
Yes.
Now, so your daughter was like, Mom, what are you doing? Are you just being silly kind of thing?
Right.
So, and so you just had to adjust, and it's now been 2.5 years, and you're part of this group. I guess it's a global group of the foreign accents over the internet.
Right.
Boy, isn't the internet such a lifesaver,
It
really.
is.
And you know you're not alone.
Right.
And what are some of the experiences you've had in general since then? I mean, obviously you have a lot of issues, still physical issues. You haven't been able to work. You're on disability. You're not able to lie down flat anymore, correct?
Right.
Tell the viewers what happens.
If I lay flat, I cannot breathe. And they wanted to do an MRI at one point, and they said, you must do it laying flat. And so they put me under anesthesia so that I could lay flat. And the anesthesiologist said, yes, you stop breathing, but I increased your anesthesia. And I was able to continue to breathe.
Okay.
But so I sleep about sitting up in an upright position.
Oh my goodness.
And then if that's not weird enough, when I lift my right arm, I can bring on a seizure.
Oh, that is weird.
So I don't much use it. I can lift it almost a little halfway up. But if I lift it sideways, I can bring a seizure on. So of course, having an accent and trying to find out what is going on with my speaking and going to doctors, and they're saying, I have no idea. And my third neurologist found out and said to me, you have foreign accent syndrome. But then when I get his report, he says foreign accent syndrome versus conversion disorder.
Conversion disorder?
Which is a psychiatric or psychological condition.
Oh, so in other words, they're starting to think you're faking it, sort of, or it's psychological, like...
They said, you're not faking. This is a condition where we know you're not faking it. You've been in a traumatic experience, and so your brain is just rewired or miswired and causing you to do something different.
Okay, so they at least acknowledge that there is some... Well, that's good. But have you had any experiences where you've had trouble with people understanding and acknowledging, and do you feel discounted sometimes, or...
I feel discounted, and one of the reasons that I was just so grateful to you, Janet, is you were interested in my story. With the doctors and people who don't understand it, if I came right out and said, I'm from Michigan, because every time I go out, someone asks me, where are you from? And I say, Michigan, and they say, oh, you're not from there. Where from before that? No, really. I have brain injury that caused me to speak like this. And they get upset like you're just lying to me. So I created a response because the first time I said, I am from Czechoslovakia, and then I went, oh, I lied. It's a lie. I felt horrible, and I had to tell him, no, really, I'm not. So I say it this way. They say, where are you from? And I say I am from Czechoslovakia. And everyone just says, oh, she's from Czechoslovakia.
I know, isn't that cool? I've never met anyone from
Right.
Czech before. I get it. And I know I've been with Laura a few times, and one of the ways she handles it is that she does a lot of spelling. So when we met for a meal, and she was ordering at her lunch, and she had to spell a few of the words because they couldn't understand her. And I guess it just took you a while to figure out that spelling is better than just saying it over and over again.
Right, yes, I ordered the carols, and I had to say CARROTS, and it took me a year and a half to instead of just repeating it over and over, don't you understand the carols? I say just to spell, and then I don't have to get upset because someone
Right.
can't understand me.
And the interesting thing is that you told me earlier that when somebody else that has a foreign accent speaks to you, you can't understand them at all.
I cannot understand somebody speaking to me in a foreign, when English their second language and they have accent.
Right. That's
So-
just so interesting.
Yes.
And the other interesting thing is it's not just the accent, guys. She adds S to a lot of words. Like people who don't speak English as their first language, they add an S, or they add, different sounds at the end or whatever. It's almost as if you really are from some country and are learning to speak English. It's just, to me, it's just fascinating. Anyway, that sort of leads into what you want to work on today, what you want me to help you with. We have had a session. Neither Laura and I can remember anything about it. I think I've mentioned that when I do a session, it's almost like having a dream. I'm not dreaming, I'm perfectly lucid, but when you have a dream at night and you wake up and it's so crystal clear, and a few hours later you're like, what was that dream again? It's like that for me, and Laura can't remember either, so.
Right.
So whatever we do today, it'll just be what we do today, whether we've had the session before or not.
Wonderful. I think the thing I'm working on now, Janet, that might be helpful also to many listeners, I'm not really being heard in the community that an injury has brought me into.
Aha.
You know, the medical community now, you know, it took 2 years and 5 months to be diagnosed with a spinal cord injury and autonomic nervous system damage from spinal cord injury, which is affecting many things also.
Wow. 2 years and 5 months to get that diagnosis.
Right, right. You know, the doctor's not really taking my situation seriously because it is unbelievable, maybe, if you will. So I would like to work on, you know, attracting, really, because I'm attracting, I realize I'm resisting my injury. I don't want it. You know, I give it back, I'm resisting it, but then have to realize it was given me to me for a reason.
Yes.
But I had resistance energy in my space, and the doctors were resisting. Oh, you have simple thing, a conversion disorder. And then we find more. If I give the resistant energy away, then I would like to replace and attract people interested in truly listening to me and helping. Not only me, but other people who may be injured.
Yes, because you can share your experience. You can become inspirational to people because you will have gone through this amazing experience. Many people out there, all of us, and some not always related to the medical field, but many of us have experienced not being heard.
Right.
I mean, this is a fairly common pattern in the sense that, you know, we've all experienced it. So viewers, I want to say again that when I work on Laura, on this issue for her, I want everybody to do it for themselves. If we're not being listened to by those outside, it is a reflection of something that we're carrying in that energetic field. And we can neutralize that, and then we can activate that beacon that's going to bring in people that will listen, that will see you, and that won't discount you or just put you in the box, oh, you have conversion syndrome, and that's it. We want her to be seen and heard and appreciated, and in her case, you get the proper treatment. And so that's the point of the healing. I just want to check the time. Yeah, I guess it's a good time. We want to have some time to do this. So, by the way, I should mention that she's as cool as she looks in her glasses. She's wearing them because she has very sensitive eyes, part of the result of the accident. The bright lights in here affect her eyes. So it's okay for you to shut your eyes, and you're not going to fall asleep because you're sitting up, right?
Correct.
Anyway, so I'd like all the viewers to make yourself comfortable, and you too, Laura. And I'm going to be talking to you, but occasionally I'll encourage the viewers to do something.
Okay.
You have done it once. She has bought my books, guys. She's in the middle of the first one. The second one is really appropriate for this particular guest because it's about the soul's journey. It's called Soul Psychology. It's an award-winning book, guys. Our Journey Through the Human Kingdom Universe. And it's very well described and shown in that book that the journey of tens and tens and tens of thousands of lifetimes that we've had create so many soul scrambles and issues that we carry that at some point at the soul level we say, wait a minute, I want to deal with these issues. I want to heal them. And the fact of the matter is, if we come in, if we make the decision, I'm going to go in this life like Laura did, if she doesn't create an issue for herself, she's never going to be aware that she has issues to heal. So what happens is the soul sets up situations and conditions that bring problems to us, difficulties, blocks, whatever it is. Everybody does it differently. And so that book really explains how we do it and why, and therefore it turns around the difficulty and makes it the opportunity that I mentioned earlier. The opportunity to become aware, to move out, to get help, to heal. And we all come well equipped, as you know if you've watched the show at all. And so I'm going to start to work on Laura. Again, I'm Janet Richmond. This is the Higher Self Voice, and I'm going to work on Laura Fettig for the issue of not being seen and heard. She would like to neutralize that and create like a beacon, a magnet. She wants to magnetize herself to draw in people that do see her and hear her.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see where we're going to go. So I ask everyone to shut their eyes. You don't have to do the work with the eyes shut, but let's just shut the eyes. Helps the focus of attention, and right now I'm focusing on Laura. And Laura, I want both of us to begin to focus, and all the viewers, to focus on the pure soul essence light that we all carry. It's the divine light that every soul carries, from the lowliest grain of sand to the highest, most evolved being. And it's everything the originating source was, is, and is becoming. And I would like you to focus on that light. You can use the symbol of an internal sun to help you with that focus and move that brilliant light in, through, and around the totality of your physical body, every molecule, every cell, every tissue, every system. And we're going to focus the light before we even move into the healing. I want it to go right to the nervous system, and I'm seeing the nervous system like it's as if the highways of all those nerves, all the networking is becoming beautiful, brilliant light. So the light is really moving in, and it brings with it the totality of all of the divine light, and so it's bringing in the healing energy, the repairing energy, and we're going to have that focus using that light on that nervous system for the totality of the session. We're also going to expand the light out in, through, and around the totality of your etheric bodies, that energetic field that you and every soul carries, and also to expand it and extend it to become one with the totality of who you are at the soul level. And I'm seeing for both you and I, we're creating a very large beacon of light for both of us, and the beacon connects and becomes one beacon. We're joined in one accord in this way. The divine light is moving to connect us at the chakra levels, and we're both connected to the chakras of the originating source as well. Remember, the divine light is, because it's divine, it cannot trespass, so we have to invite it in, and this amalgamation process, or the process of becoming one, consciously inviting, asking, giving permission for the light to move in, through, and around us is key. It's important. We have to do that so that it can bring in all that purest, most perfect, most potent personal power to us and help us in our free will arena. Last step, I want to become one. We were bringing in the gigantic beam of light that we've joined together to become. We're bringing it in inside and becoming one with the totality of the originating source of all there is. And in this way, we are going to be doing the healing at the very highest level. Now, okay, now this is really interesting. I'm getting a picture of you. You've moved out onto a symbolic platform. I use a platform simply to give me a focus of attention. And what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing you hiding from yourself. And this is a very interesting pattern, because, and I actually remember a similar one in the session. It's coming back to me. But this one's slightly different. This one, it's as if you're in a room with mirrors. And every time you catch a glimpse of yourself, you turn away, and you are trying to get away from that part of you. And it's just so interesting. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I get a ton of symbols, but we're all so complex and so different that I get different ones all the time. But what this tells me right off the bat is exactly what you put into words, and it's not a surprise to me that you put it into words, because you've had a long history of being part of the New Age wellness, mind, body, spirit healing modalities before you had the accident. So you put it into words, and it's like you said, you didn't accept yourself. You couldn't accept what's happened to you. And so this is mirroring that, but it's a lot different, it's a lot deeper, I should say, than just the accident. It's as if looking at yourself is repulsive. looking at yourself is frightening. You don't want, you can't face yourself. There's something, and I haven't gotten it quite yet, but I want you to begin to let in the light whatever the repulsion is, whatever the resistance is to looking at yourself in the mirror. And of course, at the base of it, somewhere deep down from many, many lifetimes, is an arena of not liking the self, maybe even self-hatred, maybe even total lack of self-acceptance. Whatever it is, that's deep down. There is something that you are afraid to look at. You do not want to see. And there's this avoidance thing, this avoidance pattern. And oh my gosh, this has been going on a long time, Laura. Now, we all have this. I'm telling you, viewers, please begin to let avoidance of looking at the self. This is so common. We all manifest it in different ways. We all show it in our outer reality in different ways. We all have it. We're all conscious of it or unconscious of it in different degrees. But right now, I am seeing an absolute, it's almost a state of panic to every time you catch yourself in a mirror, because I keep seeing you moving around, and there's sort of like boulders or some things you can sort of hide behind, but at one point you have to come out, whether it's for food or you have to come out just to see what's going on or whatever it is. You poke your head around the boulders or whatever the hiding place is, and you catch sight of yourself, and oh my gosh, the panic that is set up, and you really are at a loss. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to handle it. You can't go through life avoiding looking at yourself and accepting the self. So I really want you to just start to release the fear and the panic. Now we're going to work on the positive thing in a bit. So let's just keep going here. I want you to let go of all the self, the panic, the repulsion, the avoidance, the absolute need not to pay attention to yourself, not to look at yourself, not to pay any mind to yourself, not to hear yourself. Okay? I can feel the heart. It's so interesting because I feel the heartbeat, the panic, the anxiety of this. And so you have found workarounds, you found ways to kind of avoid looking at the self. And I'm not talking about in this lifetime, but I'm not getting into the detail because it's just too short. If you're doing a longer session for an hour plus, the fact of the matter is I would very much be able to get more detail. We'll see if more comes out, but right now it's really important, and I want you to begin. I'm seeing a lot of stuff coming out of your heart area. Let it go out into the light. This beautiful light is going to neutralize it and then absorb the neutral energy, and I want you just to see it, feel it, imagine it, sense it, moving the dark energy out from the center of your heart, your stomach, all this fear. It's just very, very deep, and it's all about fear of the self, fear of looking at yourself, fear of accepting yourself. There is just a lot here that you see and believe is wrong with you. There's a lot of self-attack and self-denigration and the belief that there's something deeply wrong, deeply I wouldn't put the word evil on it, but it's close. There's something that you think that is so bad about who you are and what you've done that you can't stand the pain of looking at it. Now, again, this is a common pattern, and we have it in different degrees. But viewers, please let go of that, any kind of belief system that you aren't a good person, that you've done some terrible wrongs. That's what it feels like. It feels like you've done terrible wrongs and you just can't even deal with looking at it. Now, the important thing is to understand so many of these wrongs are based on misunderstandings. You have attacked yourself and criticized yourself because in many, many lifetimes, first of all, we get it from people around us. We're getting blame, and people are blaming us and finding fault and, looking for a scapegoat, and you've been a scapegoat many, many times. so have we all. It is very, very normal because in so many lives we've been in, we're like Middle Ages, Dark Ages. I say this over and over again, tribal societies, and the fact of the matter is there was very little, very limited understanding of how things worked, how life worked. I mean, wow, there's just so many limits, and understanding that we have now that wasn't back there then, on a lot of these lifetimes and on many different planets. So it's not just this planet, it's not just your lives here. There is just this sense that I want you to release all the lack of self-acceptance and all the misunderstanding, the misinterpretations, the misconceptions about the self, and all the hurt that you feel, because it's the pain of looking at yourself that is propelling you to avoid the mirrors. Now, I am seeing you're doing good releases. I am seeing you release. There's a lot coming out, and as a result, I'm seeing you move out from behind the symbolic rock, because it's just a symbol. I see you moving behind the symbolic rock. You're giving a chance of seeing a mirror in a way that I don't feel the utter panic, the utter terror of seeing yourself. There's this, you're now releasing enough, and you're moving into a place of more self-acceptance. Now I want to activate divine forgiveness. I want you to just bathe in divine forgiveness, because you think there's so many things wrong with you. So let's activate the divine forgiveness. This is very important. We want you to forgive yourself all the blame that you have, that you carry. And I don't know that it's going to be able to clear completely today, but we want divine forgiveness and we want divine self-acceptance. And I would go further to say we want the divine yes, the yes to the self, divine vision and divine hearing. That means the proper seeing and hearing of yourself, the proper seeing and hearing by others towards you. And same with divine forgiveness, the forgiveness of the self and forgiveness of others and others towards you. We want to empower this part of you that is now moving out from around the rock and is now in a sort of a room with a ton of mirrors on the symbolic walls. And you're looking at the mirrors, and there's a new expanded perception going on. And I want to call in divine clarity and divine expanded perception, because it's already moving into place, and I want to empower that. It's as if for the first time you're seeing that the mirror isn't really you. It's more a projection of who you thought you were. So I want you to release the self-identities, the ideas that you have about the self that were so horrifying to you. I want you to release the self-identities, the self-judgments, as much as you can about those. And this allows, it's as if blinders have been taken off your eyes, and for the first time in a long time, this part of you, and it's certainly not the whole part of you, but the healthy, balanced parts wouldn't come forward for a session. They wouldn't come forward, because that's not what we're here to help you with. So it's just a part of you that had a hard time looking at the mirrors, and this part is really doing great, because it's as if it's going through this opening and this perception that no matter how you look on the outside, whether you speak with a foreign accent, whether you can lift your arm and it means you're going to have a convulsion, you are not your physical body. You are not the foreign accent syndrome. You are the purity and perfection of your pure soul essence. This is who you are. We aren't our bank account. We aren't our loneliness. We aren't our heartbreak. We aren't our physical issues. We might bring these things in to the life pattern, as you have in this case with this accident, to help us clear away the belief systems that are false. They're false beliefs. They're limiting. They create glass ceilings. They create resistance and hurt and fear. They're made up of resistance, hurt, and fear too. So we want to release all of that, all of the self-identities, the false beliefs about the self, the limiting viewpoints about the self, the blinders, the tunnel vision. And as you can continue to release, and I see a lot of stuff coming out through the eyes and the ears, but mostly the eyes. I see a lot coming out through the eyes, the top of the head, a lot of misunderstandings, misconceptions, and two, out through the stomach, a lot of hurt. There's been tremendous amount of suffering, not only in the last 2.5 years, but there's been a lot of suffering over many lifetimes, because this is a pattern of not accepting the self that touches every part of our lives, some in more degrees than others, and in some lifetimes more degrees than others. At the soul level, we determine just how much and just where and how often it's going to happen as we go through and we try to figure out what direction to take and what we're going to work on, et cetera, et cetera. And so, but this one has been a very, very difficult soul scramble for you, and it's just got it very entrenched. It's very complex. I've literally only touched on a bit of it. But one thing that I find that is part of this pattern is when we don't accept the self, when we avoid the self like you've been, we are basically lost. And this is this realization that you're coming to as you stand out from behind the boulder or the big block, and you're now looking in the mirror and having this sense of you're not your reflection. You're your pure soul essence. You are who you are no matter what your outside looks like. There's another part that's coming out, and this is the sense of being lost. You realized you were lost, and you were, because if we aren't connected to the self, if we don't know who we are, if we don't love who we are, we're just kind of flapping our wings. We're just trying to cope. We're just trying to deal moment to moment or crisis to crisis. And sometimes maybe things seem to be going well, and then whammo, something else will hit. And we're just kind of lost. We don't know what we love. We don't know what we want to do. And this whole feeling of being lost is coming up, and I want you to really address it, allowing that lost feeling to just flow out of you. And it's just moving out of your whole front, just flowing out, this sense of, I don't know who I am. I've been lost. I don't know who I am. And just this whole idea of, that's why you locked into, and this is what we all do, we lock into the outer reality. You locked into, I'm injured now, I'm disabled, I've got a foreign accent, that's who I am. But it isn't really who you are. And all the other things that we all, the viewers and I and everybody else have locked into, those things aren't who we are either. And with the realization that you're not that, you now have the realization of how lost you've been, looking outside of yourself to figure out who you are, where you're going, and what you want to do. And actually, it's so moving. I'm actually feel, there's this sense of relief. I'm tearing up myself a bit because I can feel this sense of connection that you haven't felt in a long time. And there's a sense of relief here because it's been so difficult. When we don't know who we are, how difficult is that? It is so difficult. A lot of times we're not even aware that it's difficult. But since you've been in this field for years, this is coming right to the surface. You've got a deep awareness now, and there's a sense of relief, and you're releasing a lot of the frustration and the difficulty and the disconnection. Whoa. I want to call in whatever energy, and I don't know exactly, but I want to call it divine foundation and divine connection so that you find yourself and connect with yourself at the foundation of the pure soul essence, so that this lost pattern is not only dissolving and being released into the light and neutralizing, but we want to create the foundation so you have a new standing or a new foundation to stand on, and you are able to really move out into the world accepting now, and I'm calling in again divine acceptance, and I'm seeing it really starting to take hold now. The idea that, okay, I have a new journey here, but it's my journey, and it's one that I'm the directing identity, and I can make it what I want it to be. I don't need to be the victim and be at everybody else's mercy. I can create, I'm the directing identity, I can create the beacon that is going to unfold the rest of my life in the ways that are meaningful, where I'm heard, where I'm not lost and I know who I am, where I'm inspirational to myself and to others, and that I find fulfillment and joy in my everyday life pattern. And this is what's coming up now. This sense of anticipation, the sense of it's going to happen. Anyway, it's beautiful. And the higher selves now are indicating that they are putting you in that cocoon that I speak about every week, and you are continuing to process. The releasing and the empowering is both happening. The healing has made a lot of headway here. You've done a lot, and the cocoon is going to help you acclimate to the shift of the energetic field, because you've released a lot of the energies that you were carrying in that energetic field, and it's creating a shift. We've taken on those energies over tens and hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, so we don't let go of everything all at once, but you let go of a chunk related to this pattern, and this is opening a lot of doors. I am still seeing you release. There's some heartache coming out, some real pain in the heart area, because this has been a very difficult journey for you in prior lives and in this life. And so there's been a lot of heartache and a lot of suffering. So that's still processing, and it will continue. Your processing will continue to happen as long as at the soul level, you are giving that permission, and so far you certainly are. And so with that, the healing or the session or whatever you want to call it is over.
That was amazing. That was really powerful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah,
You did a lot.
I did a lot. That feeling I don't belong has been so prevalent for me over the past 2.5 years. Where do I belong? Should I move to Czechoslovakia? Where do I belong?
You can't move there, you don't speak the language.
I don't know. I would be more fish out of water there, but
yeah.
I just, thank you. I could move much energy out.
Wonderful, because
yes.
you really did. And I could see you making these sort of jumps, at the mind level. You were just, oh my gosh, these insights, and that was powerful for me. I don't see it all the time. Sometimes I do, but it was exciting. And you did one, and then you went, oh my God, the lost. Oh my gosh, it was just sort of one thing after another.
It was wonderful. And then the people who are listening also to not wanting to see the self, and we need others to validate us, or we need food, or we need something, and I need a doctor to validate me. I need them to find what's wrong. And if I can stand in my power and not need outside of myself, it's where I'm standing right now and creating that from now.
And you've created the beacon that, there'll be times where you do need a doctor. You'll bring in the one that can hear you.
Right.
It's not about instant healing and your body is perfect. It opens doors to bring in the supplements perhaps, or the medications, or the doctors that are right for you, instead of going through, another 2.5 years of having, difficult time. As you
Right.
said, just a month ago it was where you found out you had this autonomic, whatever you called it.
Yeah, the autonomic nervous system, which is your automatic reflex, your breathing, how your stomach function, how your brain is working. It's all the autonomic things, and they're not working properly. And instead of it being a psychological issue, it's a true spinal cord. So let's give the spinal cord love.
Right, and I think we did do something on the spinal cord in the last session. I'm not
Right.
positive. I do a lot of them too, and I can confuse one with the other. But in any case, that what did seem really, really good. Now, I did want to, I forgot to talk about it earlier, and we have a little bit of time left. How you found me, because it's kind of amazing.
Out of the blue, Janet. It was July 5th, and I was resting with my computer, and I got an email for the Higher Self Voice Radio Healing, and this show you were doing was for Caitlin.
I just want to step in for a minute for the viewers. This is my Wednesday radio show. It's audio only, and I've been doing it for 6 years, and I do information and healing. It's a longer show, hour to 2 hours. So this was a show I did on Caitlin, so go ahead.
I got the email, and I had a period of time I need to do nothing but relax and just be well and relax. And I had time to listen to the show. It was going to be starting in half an hour, and I said, let me get some nutrition, and I'm going to be there for the show. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I listened to the show, and you were just so passionate and compassionate with your guest, and I could see the work you were doing, and she wasn't present with you, and it was a request from someone close to her, but I know she got a healing, and you spoke to me, and I just decided I would contact you because I knew I needed to be connected with you in some way.
Well, it's sort of amazing because she's never gotten any emails from me before or since. So it was really weird. We did not have her in our email list. So we And the other thing was at that particular show, Caitlin had just gone through a psychotic break and had moved into schizophrenia. So I think on some level, because there was sort of the mental condition, it probably spoke to you more than maybe another show that I did on somebody else. But I mean, it was sort of bizarre because we researched it, My assistant Catherine and I, we were like, how did she all of a sudden get that email? So
Divine energy.
There you go. Well, anyway, I wanted to give just a little bit of a preview for next week. When you see the intro and the outro for this show, my assistant Catherine composed the music, and Dove plays the violin, and Dove is going to be on the show next week. He and Catherine and I, we all met over New Year's Eve, and we immediately felt a connection, and Catherine composed the music for my intro and outro, and she asked Dove if he would play. You're going to find Dove fascinating, very talented guy. Anyway, so he's next week, and meanwhile, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, you are
I-
most welcome.
I just really appreciate it. I feel like I made a new friend.
I do too. We have.
And for you, and of course anybody, you can email anytime Janet at higherselfvoice.com or Janet at janetrichmond.com. You can reach me in a million different ways. I always answer. Laura and I we're already in touch, so it's not a problem. But you have any questions, you have any concerns, freakouts, you can certainly contact me. So, okay, I guess it's about time. 1 minute. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to the viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether it's live or archived, and thank you to Laura so much. I really appreciate it, your compelling story, and I wish you always the best. And with that, I'll say goodbye.
Thank you, Janet.
You are watching T Radio V. Radio and TV.